Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's a wrestling podcast, Getting Over. We've got Crown Jewel coming your way this weekend. That's if you're listening to it at this point in time. And it's a premium live event. That's right. It's not pay-per-view anymore. Premium live event. I don't know if I've mentioned that before. That's right, we've got all the stuff from the last pay-per-view, premium live event, to go through, and then we're going to get deep into predicting Crown Jewels. Crown Jewels? Crown Jewel? Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Obviously the big one that we like the mostest, share the podcast around. If you have a wrestling fan in your life, or if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that likes wrestling, send this podcast their way. They will love it. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, Getting Over.
Welcome along. If it's my voice you're hearing first, you know damn well what time it is if you're a regular. It is the only place to get your wrestling fix on CookieCast. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Getting Over. Now, in the wake of WrestlePalooza, we've got the predictions title business to tend to shortly. But first, introductions. For those of you watching on YouTube, you may have seen that I am not alone. And introduced him first, for me, fighting out of the bottom left-hand corner. The ever-present of all things CookieCast. He's been down since day one-ish. Mr. Paul Williams. Hello, sir.
Good evening.
Also joining us on this episode, we have the man that made day one possible, the creator himself, Mr. Andrew Cook. Hello, sir.
Good evening.
And for the first time in CookieCast / Getting Over history, making his podcast debut, Mr. Max Epworth. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So, thank you for coming on. And first and foremost, for all of you people that didn't believe me that Max was real for the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks of podcasting, he's there now. You can see him. He's a real person and everything. It's not just me trying to get an extra entry for the predictions title.
Matt Moore in the NFL fantasy group situation from like 8 years ago.
Exactly. So speaking of Matt, Matt is he's unable to join us this evening. So we're back up to a 4, but obviously missing Mr. Moore as usual. So he's fine. Everything's fine. He's just very, very busy. So he'll be back with us shortly. There's nothing to worry about. Thank you all for joining me. How are you feeling, Max, about your first appearance?
Good. I've had a nervous poo or two, but yeah, I felt good.
Excellent. Good preparation. But yeah, no pressure, but like just don't fuck it up, yeah. So right. Predictions title time. Let's get this show on the road. So as we mentioned about Matt was absent on the last episode, but still managed to take exactly. And he managed to take that title with no less than a clean sweep. No predictions submitted, however, means that we are guaranteed a new champion on this episode. So who's it going to be? Well, spoiler, Max hadn't got predictions for the last one either, so it's between the three of us, gents.
Oh, I can't wait to do my tiebreaker.
Why do you think Max is... No, I'm kidding, Max. You don't need to do the tiebreaker. I'm not going to drop that on you now.
Introducing Stuart Woodmansey.
We were playing for a possible 5 points. And it's been another episode where it's not been too shabby for points all round. Collectively, out of the 15 points available, we scored 12. So that's pretty good.
Oh, right. When did that happen?
Nope. No. Playing for 5 points each. Then I did some maths and counted on my fingers and had to use some toes. But we're there. Right. So, how does that split down? In last place, especially seeing as he's just chimed in, we had Mr. Paul Williams on 3 points. He missed out after the Vision defeated his pick of the Usos and Cena losing to Brock was his other one. In second place with 4 points was me. John Cena not only let himself down, but he let Paul down, and now me. So that means in first place, and for those of you, Paul, that can do some quick maths, that's right, Andy, you've won. And clean sweep. 2 episodes in a row, the title has been taken with a full house. So congratulations to you, sir.
I was glad I didn't have to do a tiebreaker because I would have lost. Like always.
But now you're the champion, you can defend it via tiebreaker next time out, right?
How many steps is it from the last arena to the next arena if you walk backwards on your hands?
You've given me an idea though now, because now when it's like a big stadium, I wonder if surely Google will tell us how many steps there are combined between like the last 10 arenas and stuff. AI will help, right? Anyway, so yeah, full disclosure, I have only seen the last 2 matches of WrestlePalooza because I was unfortunately quite busy that weekend as well. So I haven't got my usual knowledge on the rundown. So has anybody else got any points to bring up, or do we want to discuss some of the results at least?
I mean, it was an okay pay-per-view. It was on a busy weekend, wasn't it? Because there was it All Out?
Yeah, they went head to head, didn't they?
Day after. Oh, it was the same day, wasn't it? Yeah, it was later on the same day. Was there something else that weekend? I'm trying to remember back to when it was, but I'm sure there was something else that weekend. It seemed like a very busy weekend, but yeah, the Cena Lesnar match had a very SummerSlam 2014 vibe to it. So unless they're doing a second match, I don't really get it.
It could just be the final stop on the Greatest Hits tour, though, because
him just getting absolutely fucking smashed.
Well, Lesnar, like him or not, is probably going to stick around more on the one-hit wonder sort of style of a deal, isn't he? If Cena's done, then he's done. But Lesnar, if he's sticking around, like, why not make him look like he used to in that regard?
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't want him to be his last opponent. I think that would be ridiculous, personally. Max?
Yeah, it was an okay PLE. Seen a lot better, seen a lot worse. I think with the Brock Lesnar Cena, as you say, he was right with it being a very SummerSlam 2014. And I think it will be his last match, Brock Lesnar, so he can. I'm not saying it's the right decision, but I think to have him go out against, his. The person that dominated him in 2014, dominated him in 2025. I think it will be a nice, in WWE terms, a nice end to his story. But then at the same time, I want to see him be a Grand Slam champ. But
he's got to get an Intercontinental title match on the way through. Has to. And I've seen all sorts of graphics and plans and stuff that people have mapped out, which would be awesome. One of them included him taking the title and then dropping it to Sheamus to kind of do him a favour as well on the way out the door, which would be pretty cool. But I don't know, that the last match is a strange one, and I still feel like because they're taking so long to confirm his last. I mean, I know it's like keeping people guessing as well, but like, if they really wanted to, they could confirm every single appearance and match for between now and the end of his run.
Well, are we down to like 5 now?
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely into the single digits, isn't it?
Yeah,
but I don't know how many. I think it's 5, but I might have got that wrong.
He's already done his last SmackDown because that was last month.
Yeah.
So everything else.
That was quite cool, wasn't it? Because didn't they say that it tied in with his first one was in Chicago?
Yeah.
And the last one was also in Chicago, so that was kind of a nice, like, full circle type thing.
Yeah. But I wonder if, because it's taken them the time to announce it, if they're still trying to put something together for that last match. I know it's like the hype thing, but if there's any way they can get Edge out of his AEW contract, that's happening. Because you can debate it till like the end of time, but for me, the Edge Cena feud made SmackDown for all that time and definitely helped both of them out. Edge was he'd already had his like run with like Lesnar and all the rest of it. So he was kind of up as Cena. I mean, I remember back in 2002 that like Edge was main eventing certainly like the European tours, just as Cena was still in his two-tone pants with his like square haircut. Like, so I think they've both helped each other's careers massively from that point onwards, and I think they'll be doing everything they can to try and make that happen. If there's even just a whisper of a hint of a slight possibility, that wouldn't surprise me. But if they do manage it, are they going to try for that Rumble pop again, where it's like they don't announce who his last opponent is, and then the music hits and everybody just melts?
I think the problem is the reason that he's been written off AEW TV for the time being. Is it not because he's filming Percy Jackson or something like that? So unless he's able to like square off time away from set, and then obviously you've got the logistics of like trying to like sort of not buy him out of his AEW deal, but like agree like a sort of a one-off stuff.
I suppose you've got until the end of November to sort it as well, because they'll only need a couple of weeks to square it for December, won't they? Because is it December the 12th, I want to say?
Well, it's Saturday night's main event.
Oh, December the 13th.
I'm going to say it's a Saturday night's main event, isn't it? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Right. Any other matches? Any other moments that you want to discuss from WrestlePalooza?
The finish of the women's match was pretty cool. The thing off the top rope, that was pretty swish.
I've seen the highlights of that, and from everything that I've read, it sounds like that women's match kind of saved pretty much the in-ring action from being a little bit mediocre from what I've seen.
I don't know what you're talking about. I love seeing guys throw a chair and like smack it into their own face.
Oh, so you don't want to talk about Cody and Drew then?
Yeah, it was fine. It just shouldn't have made it any.
One thing I would like to ponder is what the hell has happened to AJ Lee since this event? Like, have they stuffed her into a holdall and put her back in the cupboard? Because she's not really been anywhere, has she, since? Wins the match, has the hype, does nothing afterwards. Seems a bit wasted so far. Yeah.
Not great, but yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll move on then. We haven't obviously got a lot of enthusiasm for what happened, so hopefully the next event is going to be somewhat better. So we'll move on to some news, and seeing as we've just been talking about John Cena, just as we were getting lined up tonight, Max says to us all, "Have you seen the ticket prices for John Cena's last match?" Nope. Max, what was your estimate?
Between $6,500 and $11,500.
So whilst we were getting set up, have brought up an article that reads, it is from the Bleacher Report, so take that from what you will. On Location, the official, I was going to say package supplier for the WWE, but that definitely sounds ropey. You know what I mean. The people who sort out all of the premium seating and extra shenanigans that go with that. So that they've got their different levels of packages as per usual. The one that they're harping on about, to begin with, is the Champion package. That costs $8,500. It includes premium floor seating, a photo op with Cena, and tickets to the Undertaker's 6 Feet Under podcast, and a little bit more, it says. However,
Calls.
Yeah, well, you mean the guy that definitely wouldn't go out of his way to help anybody? They've got to do it on their own. But yeah, he'll sort it for his wife. But if you wanted to attend on a basic ticket without all the extra stuff, row A ringside tickets currently going for $11,500. I assume that is now on the secondary market. Ramp tickets $9,500. Even fifth row still carrying a price tag of $6,500.
What is happening with the world?
Who is paying that money? Who looks at that ticket? We have already had this conversation in the last week about a different event. Who looks at that price and says, "I'll take two, please"? Which normal everyday person looks at that price and goes, "Yeah, that's reasonable"?
Not even the green shirt guy can say I'll have two, because he just goes on his own, doesn't he? So, oh man, yeah, that feels steep. It obviously, to be there for his last match would be quite cool and all. He's going to be back in WWE at some point doing an appearance. It's not going to be his last ever WWE appearance.
This would be the point. This would be the thing that would piss me off. It's the case of it's wrestling, so you know it's not going to be his last match, because the Saudis at some point will just be like, they'll just say, literally, "There's a check there. Just write whatever number you want on it, because we're going to pay it, but we need you to come back over and do something, because whoops-a-daisy, we did something we shouldn't have done. This will give us some good credence and stuff like that. So yeah, you come over, John, and have another match, and we'll forget about that silly incident that we just happened to do. It's fine."
So what you're saying is he's going to overtake Ric Flair's title and then go and do another Ric Flair shortly after?
Well, Flair's got to win his 17th at some point, hasn't he? So and then we'll start all over again. So,
well, he must be due a Saudi appearance by now. Surely, maybe they could arrange it for there.
Can we not? Can we not put that in?
Oh dear. Right. Okay. So we shall move on then. So with Cena's career coming to an end very, very soon, another WWE career has also come to an end. Santos Escobar has departed. His contract was set to expire at midnight on the 7th of October, and no renewal agreement was signed. With the expiration imminent, WWE took him away from appearing with Angel Umberto quite recently. But because his deal expired, as opposed to him being fired, it does mean he is available immediately to definitely appear on AEW at some point in the next 2 weeks. I quite like Santos. I always found it weird though when they tried to make him into a face with the LWO and Rey Mysterio for a while. Always definitely better as a heel, but then after the LWO feud on his way out of that group kind of killed him off, he never really got going again. But he's good in the ring, he's decent on the mic, and I've just enjoyed his work. So I'm sure he'll fit right in with Tony.
I can't wait for his debut this coming week on AEW Dynamite, when he's a surprise running against insert standard mid-card AEW wrestler here. Probably taking out Orange Cassidy or something like that.
Pint of bitter for the man in the corner who's seen this game before. So that's happened in the last few days. We've also got the announcement already way ahead of time. The first inductee for the 2026 Hall of Fame has been dropped, and that is none other than Stephanie McMahon. During WrestlePalooza, The Undertaker made an appearance at ringside, delivered the surprise news to Stephanie, who didn't look overly happy in the first interim. Was a little bit cross that that had been dropped on her. But she will be the first inductee for next year's ceremony. And really, what do we make of that? The first McMahon being inducted, or I suppose apart from Senior, but the first sort of generation of the main WWE wave of McMahons to be inducted. Are we going to get any more? Don't look at me like that, Paul.
I think with the greatest will in the world, I think it's probably going to take something bad happening for a certain member of the family to go in. But yeah, I think it probably makes sense that she's the first because it sort of opened the door slightly, I suppose, to get him in. But yeah,
I wondered if it was more for her brother than her dad.
Yeah, Shayna's got to go in at some point.
Maybe they can announce it by him falling off the top of something high.
Yeah, like a Saudi skyscraper.
Andy's played this game before too, it seems. Max, what are your thoughts on Stephanie being the first announced inductee for next year?
I think Undertaker seemed more surprised than anybody. He kind of didn't seem to really know where he was at the time that he did the announcement. But no, I think if you look at Stephanie as a character back when she came into it all those years ago, to what she's been able to become, to go from the flat-chested Stephanie to when Jericho made all the comments about her and everybody, she was the butt of everybody's jokes, to suddenly she's a serious businesswoman that's, like her or loathe her, she's done a lot for the business, hasn't she? You look back to the women's evolution. You can look at all sorts of things that she's done. Even that excellent scene back up again, going back to when she was a performer, when she got married to Triple H, whilst unconscious. You've got to look at what she's done and say she's deserving of it. Whether or not she's the first or not, for me, I think she deserves it. I agree that I think they're kind of doing it to open the door for Shane to go in at some point, whether it be this year or 2026 or beyond. I think they've definitely done it for that reason. But the cynic in me kind of makes me think as well, this whole Undertaker, Michelle McCool, Triple H, Stephanie, was Michelle kind of putting it as she did have a good career, but she kind of put in it because of who she's married to and that it could lead to, oh, my wife's in it, your wife could be in it. This, that, and the other.
I think that her, like Stephanie as a character all round, is definitely more deserving for me than Michelle McCool was. But I think I think obviously Stephanie can't touch Michelle in ring.
No.
But like you say, it's definitely for me a case of who you know in that situation rather than what you did. Right, we are going to have to step away just momentarily for a very, very short break. Recharge your glasses. We've got some results from NXT Showdown to bring you, and then we're going to get to our predictions for this weekend's Premium Live event, which is WWE Crown Jewel, but it's not in Saudi. So that's a little bit different, I know. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back to you, and you won't miss a thing. See, we're back, just like that. Didn't miss a thing. And before we get to some more predictions, we do have a few more results to bring you, as I mentioned. So, anybody remember an invasion angle in wrestling that was done really well?
when you say
up until the point of the actual invasion, fine. I'm a big fan of NXT. I like what has been happening over the last few weeks, where they've been having TNA rock up, and obviously Trick Williams, as an NXT wrestler, has been TNA champion for a while, causing a bit of friction in the locker room, and they've had some appearances, particularly from old members of the WWE roster, such as the artists formerly known as the Iconics, Matt Cardona being a few of them. Turning up and causing a bit of bother at NXT here and there. So they've decided that they were going to have NXT versus TNA at Showdown, which actually took place this week. the two biggest matches amongst that was a Survivor Series style setup. So, team of women from each brand versus a team of men from each brand. Sounds fairly straightforward so far, right? Yep. So as I mentioned, Trick Williams, NXT's Trick Williams, is the TNA champion. So which team was he going to be on? That's right, he was still part of the NXT team as the TNA champion. On the flip side of this, Kalani Jordan, also an NXT talent, is the TNA Knockouts champion. But she was the team captain for the women's team of TNA. So where, like, what? Yeah, I that's the bit where I started to check out a little bit from it. However, those weren't the only two matches on the card, because we had the Hardy Boys versus Dark State. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, they're still going. But it was
Dark State.
the TNA tag team champions versus the NXT tag team champions in a winner-take-all match. And Matt and Jeff Hardy are now your NXT tag team champions as well as TNA tag team champions. So that's like a pretty cool nostalgia hit, I guess. The other two matches, the women's match, the TNA Knockouts champion, NXT's own Kalani Jordan, was eliminated by JC Jane and Sol Ruka. So NXT took the women's match. But during the men's match, Trick Williams effectively walked out on his NXT brethren, walked to the back with his with his TNA title. Gotta keep doing that. And then Mike Santana defeated Ricky Saints, NXT champion Ricky Saints, to take the win for TNA. So gives it a little bit of a license to rumble on, but they need to get this who's on what team bit a little straighter for me. I enjoy NXT. I would quite happily watch NXT over Raw or SmackDown every day of the week. It's a little bit more digestible, a hell of a lot more fun in patches, and the wrestling is great for me. Blurring the lines a little bit though as well, with all the different people coming in and opening the door for, are we finally going to get that Matt Cardona return? Surely they've got to keep that for a Rumble, like overall. But yeah, I thought
if he's already in the conscience though, that it's not as much of a pop, is it?
I guess, but this is the thing. If he's been appearing, I think he's only been on twice, and he's not wrestled. It's just been like backstage stuff or appearing in the crowd. So if they keep that sort of powder dry and like remove him from the appearances from now until it's only a couple of months, really, isn't it, down the line? Once we get everybody's favourite time of the year out of the way. And then... You what, sorry?
Survivor Series.
Exactly that. But yeah, I think they'd be wasted to use that return on NXT, personally. Right, so yeah, that's it. That was kind of all of the different bits and bobs of news that I had for this episode. So we shall move along to the real reason we're all here. We know what time it is. It is time to do some predicting. And as I said, it's Crown Jewel predictions. Well, this year, Crown Jewel isn't a Saudi show. This year, it comes to us live on Saturday, October the 11th, from the RAC Arena in Perth, Western Australia. It marks the first non-Saudi Crown Jewel. However, the main sponsor is still the General Entertainment Authority of Saudi Arabia. Still involved. At the time of writing, we are back to a standard Triple H 5-match card. As always, the match card info is taken from WWE.com. It's correct at the time of recording, but the card is always subject to change. So let's get straight to the action. The first match I have on my list for this episode is the Australian Street Fight. Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. So this is a rematch from Clash in Paris with added weaponry. In that match, Roman won the battle by picking up the win, but certainly lost the war during a massive post-match beatdown. Roman Reigns then took a month out due to injury. Not because he was filming anything to do with the new Street Fighter or anything, but he returned to Raw to help Jimmy and Jay defeat Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker in a tornado tag match. Now Reigns turns his attention to Reed in a supposed 1v1 environment, but with Street Fight rules. Surely that won't last. Surely. Who takes the victory here, and what racially stereotyped weapons will we see in an Aussie rules Street Fight match? Gents, the floor is yours.
Paul's
chuckling.
Surely we're getting at least a didgeridoo.
That was my thought. I think it's more likely the didgeridoo over the boomerang. However, I think it's purely just. I'm really hoping that it's Wade Barrett on commentary, so he can utter some sort of line about Bronson Reed getting his didgeridoo out.
Well, there'll definitely be a cricket that.
Yeah, I would also agree with that.
Get McAfee there so he can punt some Aussie rules balls into the crowd. I don't know.
Well, do you want to kick us off, Paul? Have you got a prediction for this one?
I don't know with this one. I think the edge might go to Bronson because it's an Australian street fight. If it was in any other place street fight, then obviously Roman would definitely have the advantage. But because that little tweak of the stipulation, it's got to be big. Can you actually answer me what the difference is between like a Chicago, a Dallas, a Leeds, a Sheffield, and insert town or indeed country?
It's obvious. Yeah. Yeah, they're all different. Because they all happen in different places. That is literally the reason.
Jesus Christ.
Paul, don't forget though. First time ever.
Sorry. Apologies. I'm not sure with this one. Oh, no, wait a minute. It's Bronson in his home country. Of course they're going to beat him. Roman Reigns, please.
Okay. That is the exact logic I applied. Purely for the fact it's his home country. I can see this going almost a very similar way to Paris as well, in the respect of that Roman Reigns gets some sort of cheap win and then they just beat the shit out of him again. But then Jimmy and Jay also could get involved. It's not just going to necessarily be a Bronson invasion, Breaker or otherwise. Okay, so we've both gone for Roman Reigns. Max, do you want to hit us with a prediction?
Roman Reigns.
There you go. Nice and simple. Reasons?
I think Bronson Reed will stand tall at the end, though, in front of his Australian brethren.
With his didgeridoo out or not?
Definitely with his didgeridoo hanging out. Maybe even in Roman's face.
He might slap it across Roman's back or something.
Yeah.
I think we've lost Paul for a second. Andy?
US get the brush out because that is a clean sweep. I'll take some Roman Reigns action myself, please.
We're all going to look rather silly, aren't we, on Saturday afternoon?
Absolutely.
Okay, first prediction.
The only thing that might sort of go against us here is that he isn't on the card anywhere else, and obviously they've got to get old Yeet Boy into the sort of mix somewhere, aren't they? Mm-hmm. So, is there a possibility that he comes down, distracts Roman, and then he ends up losing the match, and then we sort of run back Jay versus Roman because apparently we need to see that for a third time.
I'd be surprised if they go that way. I get the feeling with how much they've absolutely shit on Jay since he lost the title. It wouldn't surprise me if he was almost like cannon fodder in this, and he was the guy that took the spear or tsunami or whatever it might be from one of the Bronze to kind of take the flak for Reigns to then allow him to then win. And also if they put Jey Uso off TV for a little while, and I don't think that'd be the worst thing for him at the moment. But I think he's probably selling too much merch still for him to put him out for a while. But yeah, Anyway, we've all gone for Roman Reigns, so that is in the book. So we go from one Aussie native to another, because the second match I have on the list is Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors, so Asuka and Kairi Sane. Asuka has been jealous of the relationship based on respect formed between Io and Rhea, and poor old Kairi has been caught in the middle. She has sided with Asuka so far to keep her Kabuki Warrior teammate happy, but most recently this ended in Asuka misting Rhea and attacking Io, who also suffered the same fate. As a result, the two missed victims will team in Rhea's home country to try and exact some revenge on the Japanese duo. Will the Kabuki Warriors continue to dominate, or will the team of former world champions get the win? Now, before we move on from this, have any of you seen the build-up to this in the last couple of weeks with the mist and such? No. Max, you seen anything of it?
Seen bits.
So, if you do get a chance to see any of it, obviously they'll play the packages, won't they, on the build on the event. Answer me the question as to why it's Asuka that sprays them in the face, but yet both Rhea and Io end up with blue/green teeth and tongue. Don't want to completely pull back the curtain, but something's a bit fishy there, boys. And the fact that both of them ended up looking like a fucking Smurf by the time that she'd finished. Yeah, there was a lot of juice in the hoose, shall we say? Right. Yeah, it's been featured quite a lot really on Raw. This has probably been one of the main things, other than Seth Rollins, for like the last 6 to 8 weeks. So they've definitely had a big build up to this. Io kind of playing the but they're my family kind of sort of card, and then finally snapping this past week, having to sort of go against her former teammates when they're all in damage control together. So, Andy, you gave us the last one last time. Do you want to give us the first one this time?
I don't see this going any other way than Rhea and Io winning this. It's just, I don't want to say it's playing for the pop, but it kind of is. There's a lot of, they need to keep Rhea relevant and at the top of the table to make sure that when the championship comes around again, it's there. So yeah, it makes much sense.
Okay. Max?
Rhea and Io for me. You can't have two Australians losing on an Australian PLE, can you? And I think Rhea is the more popular of the two Australians on the card.
I would agree. I think they've got a reasonable shout of this one possibly opening the event as well. For me, I think this could be first match out of the gate. So they'll want that. They'll want that pop, and for that reason, I have also picked Rhea and Io. So, Paul, clean sweep time again. Two matches in.
I get the broom. I'll and for podcast bingo aficionados, it's time to crack out something that's not been said for quite a while. But there is absolutely no chance that Rhea Ripley loses this match. Like you said, I think it's more than a high chance that it opens the show. In fact, I'd go so far as to say I'd be amazed if it didn't, because it's a guaranteed pop first up. It's a guaranteed pop when the match ends. And I don't know what I was going to ask this. I was just looking at my world clock to try and work out timings and stuff like that. So, as it stands, Perth currently 7 hours ahead of here. So it's now not to date it, but 4 o'clock in the morning. So,
It's a 1 o'clock kickoff if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, but I'm trying to work it out for what it's going to be in the States.
So they're 5 hours behind, aren't
It's like
they?
morning. So it's basically like them watching the NFL here if it was the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah,
It'd
it's
be a
it's like breakfast event, isn't it, for them?
Yeah. So I don't know if they're having to sort of adjust the time so that it's slightly earlier over there than say like 8 o'clock. So if it's like an open air place, I don't know if it's going to be like the sun's still going to be out or it's going to be light, and it could be that sort of the sun sets as the match finishes. So you get the spectacle of like pyro and all that jazz to celebrate the win.
Well, it'll be spring for them as well, won't it? We'll be coming into spring, summer.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, okay. Well, so Aurea and Io, yeah, cool. 2 down, 3 to go. So, next up, it's time. Big Match John, on his way out the door, is heading to Australia, and it's a big fat tick on the Cena farewell checklist, and it's about to happen in Australia. So a rivalry renewed. I knew I shouldn't have written it that way. Sees AJ Styles taking on the man that beat him for the WWE title to tie the then record of Ric Flair, 16 world titles. AJ probably said it best himself on Raw. These guys don't need a story, because we all know what they'll do. They'll just leave everything in the ring. AJ did go on to say that it'll kick ass. So he's piling the pressure on straight from the off. But they'll definitely put the best show on that they can. And I liked this back when they were together last time. I feel like it's the guy that led the charge for TNA at one point versus the guy who was leading the charge for WWE at the same period. I know it's happened before, but if we're in that greatest hits period of the Cena finale, then I'm happy that they made this match, because it seemed like they were going to overlook it, and then a lot of people sort of went that way. And then I believe it was even John Cena himself, wasn't it, that had mentioned AJ's name and then went ahead and used the Styles Clash in one of his recent matches. So yeah, I'm quite happy this is going ahead. I think it should be good. I think it's good as well for AJ, because as good as he is, and I know he's coming towards the end of his time himself, but he always gets overlooked for me in WWE. I think that it's since he lost that world title, I think you could argue that it's been injury after kind of sort of mishit, if you like. But yeah, we need to see if AJ can avenge that previous title loss, or will Cena take the victory as he heads closer to his in-ring retirement. Max, do you want to lead us off on this one?
I was torn on this one, to be honest. For me, I do think it'll be John Cena, but I think they've almost, with the squash match against Brock Lesnar, they've almost boxed themselves into a corner a little bit, because it's one of those where if John, you've made Brock Lesnar look incredibly strong, John Cena look quite feeble and weak. So then when he then goes on to his next match against AJ, if he then beats AJ, then it's making everybody else on the roster look weak. And I know Cena wants to put other people over, like going towards the end. So I've been torn kind of throughout the week thinking about it, whether or not AJ will continue to beat up John Cena, or if John Cena will get the win. So I'm going to say Cena, but it's toss of a coin for me. I think it will be a very good match, because AJ Styles is absolutely incredible, and I think the storytelling in the match were very good as well. But I do think it'll be John. Big match, John.
Okay, doke. Cena is in the book for you. I agree with the storytelling thing. I can see this being a bit of like an old school classic, where even down to the point of like the old pick a body part kind of a deal. I'm not sure if the story that they're going to go with until he walks out of the door is, again, he's on the decline sort of thing. So he's lost in short shrift to Brock. He ends up losing a bit of a closer sort of a deal to AJ, and then there's the whole thing coming up with Dom that like, oh, why should I give you a title match because you've lost, your last however many matches, and then that's the big Hazard towards the end. That is the only reason, and again, like you said, Max, for me, it is the toss of a coin. But I've gone for AJ purely for that reason. Paul?
I was fully on the nailed on Cena give him the win for his last match in like Australia, get that pop and stuff like that. But what you just said there makes so much sense.
So they won't do it then, will they?
That was going to be my point. I was just about to say, but because it makes so much sense, that obviously means that they will not do that. That is good. Because I suppose that always as well, that gives them the sort of the way to like have the little out of if he then sort of like loses his last match, does he like say, I just know I've got one more in me, and that gives him the chance to sort of like extend it through till WrestleMania. So he's chasing like a win to sort of like set him off, if that makes sense.
I don't think he will.
I don't think they will because he's been adamant that like and all the merch like is like the last time is like 2025 and all that sort of stuff. So it kind of like shits all over that for people that have paid like their good money to sort of get that little piece of history and stuff like that. But money talks at the end of the day, doesn't it? And it's
don't know what you're talking about, Paul. I mean, don't know anybody who gets the merch or anything.
Why?
Don't know where about.
Why are none of us shocked at what has just happened? I really don't know. Yeah, bollocks. Let's roll the dice. Stick me down for AJ as well.
Ooh, okay. All right. So split decision so far. 2-1 in the favour of AJ Styles. So, Andy,
Odyssey.
Where are we going?
You'll have to make it 2-2, I'm afraid. I don't see Cena taking a loss there. I don't see the purpose of a losing run to the end. It doesn't seem to make it look like bang, you lost one, bang, you lost one, bang, and then you're out the door. It doesn't seem like that's what they should necessarily be going with. I can't imagine that it would sit well with him either. I know supposedly he's not all ego, but this feels like a easier win for Cena to take and then move on to another match. I know it's come up a few times, but I've seen nothing but stuff absolutely crying out for them to extend this run. Now, I imagine that's wishful thinking. I imagine that's people going, oh, but if they did extend it, they could do this. And I imagine that there's a lot of, well, we can't extend it for this reason, that reason, and the other. I'm fully behind I'm sure if a big check got involved somewhere, and not necessarily to him, more to the company, then the company could say, well, really, John, we could do it this way, or we could look at doing this angle, or we could get some really good writers to write you a really good, like, last few match run, and we could, like, change this stipulation to say, well, actually, we've looked and you are still contract, all of these different things. All I keep seeing is, like, people saying, like, the smartest thing for them to do is to extend that run. So coming back to the match, I don't really see, like, everyone was like, oh, this was a really tough one, and I was like, I didn't see this as a tough one. I was like, this is a Cena win, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, take the win, move on, and move on to other. I think we're all expecting him to lose his last match in some description to hand off to somebody, and whether there's a belt involved, things like that. Just feels like a smart move might be to put a win here and then maybe start a losing streak, and then he can say it's absolutely the time for me to go to reinforce him going out the door. But Yeah.
You see, I've got it. The reason I've got it the other way around is because I think they could use a small run of losses to throw back to that whole kind of thing where he hadn't won a match in over a year. Well, he only had two, or whatever. But they made a big deal about that, and I think they could quite easily like pull that back, sort of throw in like the self-doubt kind of part of his shtick from that time. But yeah, if he then, it's going down to that last match and everybody's expecting him to lose, but everybody's kind of want him to win because of if they then do it in a style where it could be for the Intercontinental title or whatever. Dirty Dom, by the way, wouldn't be the worst ever last opponent for him, in my opinion. And then he finally gets that win and vacates the title and heads out the door, sort of thing, as Paul said about being a Grand Slam champion. Well, I'd be all right with that, but I think that if they start him losing from Brock now all the way through, that's the only way that they can feasibly get him to win his last match. For me, personally. Anyway, shall we move on? We've still got two more matches to talk about, and one of those matches is the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. It is the Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer facing the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton to determine this year's Crown Jewel Champion. Stephanie's recent rise to the top has felt very much like she's had the rocket strapped to her back, with a victory over Io Sky to take the title being her crowning moment so far. Tiffy, on the other hand, has been on full grind mode since picking up the Money in the Bank. Before using that to take the title, she was already going at it, but then to prove she's not a flash in the pan, Tiffy's defeated the likes of Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax, Jade Cargill, and even Trish Stratus during her title reign. In the battle of the respective brands, will Stephanie take the win back to Raw, or will it be Tiffy time for SmackDown once again? I have gone straight up Vaquer on this one. I think purely for the fact that she is one of the hottest things going at the moment. Not just for the international flavour that she adds to the roster, bringing in sort of extra fans and all that kind of business. Tiffy's Tiffy. Tiffy shall forever be WWE Barbie until the day she leaves, and they'll do whatever they want with that, whether it's bad guy, good guy, whatever, because she can take it. Vaquer seems to be, while she is flavour of the month, I feel that she's also a little bit rabbit in the headlights in the sense of, if they ask her to do too much talking, she kind of like struggles a little bit at the moment. Giving her the straight win keeps her nice and babyface, so therefore she doesn't have to quite do as much mic work as she will when she turns heel. It will happen for somebody who comes to the ring wearing effectively devil horns. She's going to be heel at some point, has to be, but now is not that time. I think she's not quite in that bracket just yet for me. Paul, you were kind of nodding along a little bit there.
Yeah, I think of all the ones, not including Rhea Ripley, obviously, it was probably the most straightforward one for me. Like you say, Vaquer's on like this hot streak where I think I even said this about like someone like a Bianca Belair, like when she won the title at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. Don't have a losing match for the next year, basically, if you can avoid it, and just build her to be this like mega, like power bitch who just like takes out everyone in front of her. Plus, I think Tiffy can like take the loss if that makes sense. I think if Vaquer loses, kind of like knocks her a bit in the kind of the same way that it, like when Gunther lost the sort of the men's equivalent match last year, it kind of like knocked his confidence from like a character perspective for like 2 or 3 months, and I think that would do the same, but detrimentally to Vaquer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I think it was detrimental to Gunther at the time. It derailed the whole invincibility sort of aura that he had. Okay, cool. Andy?
Yeah, I'm same with you guys. Capitalize on it, make it a thing. If you're going to strap a rocket to it, there's not a lot of point in then dousing that rocket straight away. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So yeah, with you guys.
Okay, Max.
Clean sweep.
Ooh,
Vicar.
that was nice and straightforward. Anything else to add, or in agreement with what's been said?
Agreement. I think she's just won the title. No point in handing her a loss straight away. And I agree with everything that's been said.
Okie dokie. Right, we do have the main event still to discuss. That is the Men's Crown Jewel Championship match. We're probably going to need just a little bit more than we've got left on our current timer, but your current timer will not stop. So again, don't blink. We will be right back, and we'll get to that main event prediction. See, we're here. We're back. We are back, and we've got as I said, the Men's Crown Jewel Championship match now, and this will probably close out the event. I would suggest. Plenty of fireworks, as Paul discussed in the night sky in Australia. But yeah, it's the same premise again. It is the World Heavyweight Champion versus the WWE Champion. So Seth freaking Rollins versus Cody Rhodes. Cody's actually the reigning Crown Jewel Champion, as he defeated Gunther back in 2024, as we just discussed. At WrestlePalooza, Cody retained the WWE title to get him to this match, but was then immediately confronted by Seth Rollins in the post-show. On the following Raw, Seth Rollins noted how it should be the best versus the best, but it's not that simple with these two. There's history. Cody's WWE return back at the WrestleMania to the torn pec, Hell in a Cell epic. Rollins said he's had this date circled on his calendar. My first thought was, who has a paper calendar these days? In the build, Cody did remind Seth that they've had 3 one-on-one matches since he came back. And to this point, Rollins is still chewing on that bagel. Cody is 3-0. Will all that change this weekend to see a new Crown Jewel champion, or does Cody become the first superstar to retain the title that can only be contested on an annual basis? Strange one. Anyway, that is your main event for Crown Jewel from Perth this weekend, and I'm going to go to Andy first, if that's all right.
To me, we're torn about this, and then I saw something when I was like trying to get together all my notes and stuff. I saw something and I was like, that right there. So I saw that like Seth has lost 3 times to Cody, like back to back to back, and I was like, another loss. It kind of falls into that category of what the hell are we doing at this point in time? Why keep having this as a situation? And that swung it for me. So I was like, Seth freaking Rollins for me, please. I think it's about time. I think, Cody's probably in a position at this point that he can take a loss and they can sort of look at building something else. So yeah, Seth Rollins for me, please.
Okie dokie. Seth is in the book. Paul looks like a man still possibly making a decision here.
Yeah, this was a massively 50-50 one for me. I am going to go for Seth, kind of for the same reasons that Andy did. Good chance to give him a win back against Cody. Don't know if it's just me, but does Cody not feel like he's kind of spinning his wheels a little bit at the minute?
Yeah, big time.
There's no sort of like clear next opponent for him. I assume that will probably be set up on the pay-per-view itself. I would imagine it'll be whoever his next opponent is will probably cost him the match, and that's what Seth will capitalise on to get the win. That wasn't me teasing it's going to be CM Punk, by the way, subconsciously. There is. Oh no. There is a part of me that does think this could be our usual no finish, massive sort of DQ count out. Everyone gets involved. We end up with some sort of crazy situation because there's, CM Punk's not factored into the pay-per-view, but is he a bit busy with Jey Uso at the minute? Drew's not factored in. Will he be the one who comes down and costs Cody the match? There's a lot of sort of people that aren't on the show that could probably do with being on the show, if that makes sense. And I think this would probably be the best point to sort of get him into the action.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know what I was trying to get at there. Because I don't really see how you can have a no contest to a match that really, in the grand scheme of things, let's be honest, means fuck all. So,
I mean, they get a lovely shiny sort of Super Bowl style ring out of the deal, seemingly.
MJF would be very proud.
Okay, so just to be clear, Seth Rollins is your pick, yeah?
Seth will win.
Okay, so you're 3 for 3 at the moment. I have also gone for Seth Rollins. It isn't, weirdly, because of the 3-0 thing, thinking he needs one back or anything like that. I just feel like that it's going to be as simple as Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker are going to be there. I have a feeling that during the whole thing with Roman Reigns, the Usos will sort of nullify them and it'll make it look like they're dead to rights. And then it'll be, all of a sudden, you've then got the 2 Brons and you've got Heyman and you've got Becky that'll sort of sway it, because Becky's another one, not booked on the show officially, but she came out with a ski mask on last time, didn't she? So there's that option as well. I think they'll go down that route. I would love it, by the way, absolutely love it if it was Drew that cost him, and then it ended up going back to that, because Drew, I think, could carry it way better than Cody at the moment. I think Cody needs a break because he's becoming that guy who's just been pushed down people's throats to a point where people are just a little bit disinterested now.
I think there's a distinct possibility that's part of the plan, because I think I called this last time. I think there's a mega money heel turn in there that is going to be incredible when it happens. Because I think Cody Rhodes as a bad guy is money in WWE, and when it happens, I think we're going to see something real special.
But they almost don't need that yet, whilst they've got this whole Rollins thing going on.
True.
On Raw. But yeah, it's for my money. I can't see anything else other than a Seth win. And just to top my thing off, I don't think that they would give a brand new title that can only be given out once a year to the same person twice in a row. So that's my take. Right. Seeing as it is his debut podcast episode, I have purposely, just on that bit, left this, and Max can close us out with a huge 20-minute monologue now as to why he's made his pick, and we'll all go make a cup of tea whilst he does that, yeah?
That's all right. Do you have a sweeping brush, Stuart?
Well,
so I'm going for another clean sweep.
Okay.
Personally, I think, as I mentioned earlier about the Roman Reigns match, I think Roman will win, but Bronson will stand tall. I think Seth Rollins will win this match, as I think the vision will be the heel team going into War Games, and I think it's always best if the heels have to look stronger going into something like that, with the faces, giving the face something to overcome. I agree that Cody needs a break. I also agree that his heel turn, when it does happen, will be very good. I just hope they do a better job with that than they did with John Cena, where they kind of fumble it and panic halfway through. Oh, hang on, we need to go back.
As long as the Rock doesn't get involved in it, they'll be fine.
I think the Rock's a bit too thin to be in wrestling now, isn't he? With how he's looking at present, he needs to be back on. He needs to be back on a certain juice. But yeah, for me, it's got to be Rollins. Just as I say, just for the vision looking strong going into War Games.
Okay, actually, I hadn't considered War Games. That is a very good point. And just as you started mentioning that, it popped into my head that should be 5v5 usually, right?
Or you can have 4v4.
I just wondered if they'd ever do like the first ever mixed and let Becky have at it in there as well.
I was literally just about to bring that point up. I was going to say, are we looking at the first intergender War Games match? I wouldn't be surprised if we sort of like, that's why they've kept AJ off TV. Or like, either not doing anything if it's a case of like she comes back and just says, right, I've had enough of this. You've screwed around with my man way too many times. I mean, she'd have to, do something against CM Punk again to cause her to do that, but could be where we're headed.
Would they have to have Sorry.
Go on,
Would
mate,
they have to have a completely separate ring though for the women? Because obviously they don't like men to get involved with the women, do they? And it could just be, it could be choreographed well. I just don't want it to become a bit of a cluster with somebody turns around and AJ Lee stood there because Becky Lynch is laid down, and suddenly it's like, oh, I can't do a move on you, so I'll just have to turn around and pretend that you're not there, and AJ will then jump on somebody's back. But yeah, I don't know. I think it could be a good idea.
They had 3 rings once at a WCW show.
Yeah.
Or that where they built that was it for the Ready to Rumble? They used to have that match, didn't they? Where there was like the mini cage on top of the big cage.
On top of the bigger cage.
Oh, but yeah, it's. I bet you it's something that's been talked about. If it's not already decided, obviously that is. I bet you that's been considered. But I think the difficulty is possibly who would. I don't think AJ is the right person to be at the other side to carry that off. I think they would need somebody of a stature of a Rhea or possibly a Bayley or somebody like that. But they're not in that sort of setup at the moment, so we'll see. I suppose it could happen. They've still got time to make it work around.
Unless Nia Jax realizes that she's part of the family of the Reigns, Usos, and then suddenly joins them, even though it's never been mentioned. But
could happen. Again, she's probably of a decent enough stature. Sorry. You what? Sorry, Paul. Sugar what?
No, shudder, as in, oh dear, can we not?
I thought you said sugar. I was like, Paul's having some sort of episode that we don't know about live on the pod.
Watch games.
Can we not put Nia Jax in a match where weapons are sort of commonplace and cages and anything that you break someone's face on and stuff.
What Paul's trying to say is that Nia Jax is weapon enough, right?
Exactly.
Oh, well, I think that's possibly the perfect way to close out this episode. So, unless anybody's got anything else, I think we're all good. That just leaves me to thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Max, thank you very much for joining us for your first time. Hopefully not the last time. Welcome back anytime.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, it does mean, Andy, I've just been having a little quick tot up that because actually the only difference in picks, both me and you have got a matching set, and Paul and Max have got a matching set. So it's looking like we are going to need that tiebreak for next time around, whichever way. So yeah, Andy's premonition of the title defense via tiebreak could happen. But yeah, right then. So here we go. This is the end. So thank you again to you guys for joining. Thank you to everybody that's watched along, listened along. If you haven't already, go whack the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. Massively helps out, and we really appreciate it. But yeah, we will see you next time around, and enjoy Crown Jewel. See you later.
So there you go. What do you think of that? Another one done. Another one gone. Pay-per-view in the bag. And one to look forward to. Coming your way this weekend. Who do you think's going to win? Just in general. The whole thing. No, if you know, in heart of hearts, you know who's going to win all of these matches, drop us a line. Jump over to the website, thecookiecast.com. Click the email button. It'll auto-populate an email. Write out all your predictions. Send them to us. Just doing that will get you a prize. If you beat us, best us, same as us score, we will send you another wrestling-based prize. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Leave a comment where you can leave a comment. It's not just limited to reviews. You can just drop us a comment. Right. All that's left to do is look forward to the pay-per-view premium live event. And for me to say bye, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to Cookie Cast.